Hare Krishna. Welcome you all on this auspicious Ekadashi day. So we are going to hear something very nice, some nice pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a very famous pastime, Samudra Manthan. So this is a thing that happened between the Devatas and the demons. No, there was a kind of a fight that was there, and this whole pastime is about that. I hope all of you are able to observe Ekadashi to some extent. So we had posted some details regarding that. So all the best for your Ekadashi Vrata. And then now let's get into the Srimad Bhagavatam's lessons after offering a prayer of auspicious invocation. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is a pastime that appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a very wonderful book which has 12 cantos, and sometimes it is also explained as it's an elaboration on Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is the codes and the principles that are there, and Srimad Bhagavatam is it's kind of a case study, you can say, like various pastimes that had happened, various leelas of the Lord, various interactions of the Lord with his devotees. So how these principles that are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita so are put into action. So we can call Srimad Bhagavatam as like Bhagavad Gita in action. Right? So here we see, I think in the last session also we might have discussed this particular thing, that Bhagavatam has 10 subject matters, which is called Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manmantareshanukata Nirodho Muktirashraya. So this is Sarga and Visarga, is primary creation and secondary creation. The primary creation is done by Lord Mahavishnu, and then the secondary creation is done by Brahma. So Mahavishnu creates the universe, and then he brings about the birth of Lord Brahma, and then once Brahma is born, so then like Brahma continues the creation further. So he creates the 14 planetary systems, and then he creates no further things in this one. So that is called Sarga and Visarga. Then Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam. So various levels of creation, different, all these 14 planetary systems that are created, so that are places for different kinds of people to exist, right? So according to our modern science, they say that there is no possibly, like, there is no intelligent beings, or there is no even living entities living in any other planets. But then the Vedic scriptures doesn't agree that. So we also have questions whether we have actually gone to other planets and like seen things or not. So sorry. So anyways, so Sthanam, Poshanam is the nourishment. So the what is the way the whole population in all the planetary systems will be nourished. So Poshanam, Utaya is the creative impetus. So how how people will be engaged, and how people will what is the impetus for people to work, creative impetus. And then Manvantara is different periods of time, different manus rule different periods of time. And then Manvantara, Ishanukata, so there is the pastimes of the Lord, as we are going to discuss now. So Ishanukata, and then Nirodha, Mukti and Ashraya. So all these three are three different kinds of transcendence, that are there. So we will see that as we progress sometime later, right? So now we see that this whole Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration that is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to King Parikshit, who was cursed to death in 7 days, and he was preparing to leave his body. And at that point in time, so there was a question that what is the best thing to do? I'm just awaiting my death to happen. So at any cost, I'm going to die in 7 days. So it is advised that even for a person who's dying or for a person who's living, so whatever may be the condition, hearing about the auspicious activities of the Lord is so very nice, so very enriching, and then it's highly beneficial. So in that way, this whole discussion started. And then, as we had mentioned, this particular Samudra Manthan pastime comes in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and so a lot of dialogues have passed by then. And then, so even the days also have passed, we can imagine. And then at this point in time, Sukadeva Goswami is telling that in one particular Manvantara, so Lord Ajita, he took the form of a tortoise, and then he uplifted the Mandara mountain, and which was churned by the devatas and the demons. So he just gave it in a brief, and then he was just trying to pass on to the next subject. But then Parikshit was very, very eager student, so he wanted to know this thing in detail. What is this thing in that you have told? Why is that the Lord had appeared in the form of a tortoise, and he held up a mountain, and what had happened, so, and things like that. So Sukadeva Goswami, the speaker of Bhagavatam, so he appreciates this eagerness. He says that this is really very wonderful. You have so much of interest in hearing about the Lord. So in that way, he appreciates, and then he narrates this whole event, so how this Samudra Manthan actually happened. So these pastimes, so many benefits are there for us by discussing them. One is that it is directly connected to the Lord. Anything that is connected to the Lord becomes very auspicious, and then it can actually give us a lot of spiritual benefit. So to hear about the Lord, right? So it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. So this is hearing about the Supreme Lord is called Punya Shravana. So it creates so much of auspiciousness actually, and then it can destroy all the abhadra that is there in the heart. All the Bhadra means auspiciousness, and Abhadra means inauspicious things. All that is inauspicious in our heart will almost completely be destroyed by this process of hearing, right? So in this way, because of King Parikshit's inquiry, so we are blessed with the details of this pastimes, right? So let's get into the details now. So at one point in time, the demons, they were quite powerful, and the devatas, all the Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and all these personalities, so they were a little weak at that point in time. So the demons attacked the demigods, and then they severely, they were kind of put down. And then because the demigods are devatas, we interchangeably use these words. So these are nothing but the 33 crore different devatas who are there. So who are like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and Surya, Chandra, and all those personalities. So all of them are categorized under the label of demigods or administrative in charges of this whole universe, right? So now all these personalities, the appointed administrators of this world, of this universe, all these demigods, they have been put down, and then the demons have taken charge of things. right? So on the three worlds were poverty stricken, and no ritualistic ceremonies were performed. So this is kind of the economy system, the in the Vedic times, or this is the Vedic economics. This is how even Krishna mentions in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that how in the beginning of creation he creates the men, he creates the devatas, and he creates the process of yajna. And when we perform the yajna, so which is pleasing to the Supreme Lord, and then the devatas, so they will supply the needs and necessities of the people. So even now we can actually see that thing. Same thing is put down in our modern legislation and things like that, or modern way of working of governance. So we see that all public, they pay tax to the government, and then the government departments, like maybe the cleaning department. So every day morning we see that people come and clean our streets and things like that. And then the water department, and then many departments, electricity department and things like that. So we pay tax to the government, we pay bills to the government. But then all the people who are various departments which are run by the government, so they come and they do their job, right? So in the same way, so when we try to please the Supreme Lord by the process of yajna, all the devatas who are departmental in charges, so they can actually perform their duties well. So because they'll get their salary through the process of yajna. So we performing yajna, sitting in this material world, so controls the whole economy. So this may sound something weird for the modern people, but then if you see, an ignorant child may say that the father is writing a check, and then so the child is coming and asking, so father, what are you doing? So may say, I'm just trying to pay the bills for our water and electricity. And the child is asking, so you throwing some ink on this paper is going to keep our water supply on, and it's going to keep our what is that like electricity on? So I'm not able to understand. So that's how when people say that we throwing some ahuti into the fire, which is considered to be the yajna kunda, which is considered to be the mouth of Lord Vishnu, how is it keeping the sun, moon, and health of the people, and upkeep of the society and things like that? So it's the same way. So it's the way that Lord has created the setup. So we are enjoying the natural resources, and for enjoying the natural resources we have to pay back, and the paying back system is the yajna process. And in this Kali Yuga, as we had discussed in the Gita course sessions, Kritaya Dhyayato Vishnum Trethayam Ajito Makai Dvapare Paricharyayam Kalau Tad Hari Kirtana. So if we have to keep on the sun, moon, and all the upkeep of this world, so then we have to do this Sankirtan, we have to chant the names of the Lord. So that's the yajna process, because in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to perform any yajna processes in a pure form. So that's why this level of concession is given. At least we should take up to the process of chanting the names of the Lord. So that's the upkeep of the system, right? So now here, getting back to this pastime, where all the devatas, they were attacked by the demons, and then the three worlds were in poverty stricken. So when we call three worlds, generally we call it as Bhu, Bhuvar, and Swarga. So Bhu means Bhuloka, and Bhuvar means like Bhuvar Loka, and then Swarga means the Swarga Loka. So like this, even in Gayatri Mantra, this comes Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. So that means this middle three planetary systems which are there. So these are not planets, these are planetary systems. Many planets include in this planetary system. So in fact, ISKCON is building a huge temple in West Bengal, Mayapur, which is birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, one of the incarnations of Lord. And in this temple, there is going to be a Vedic planetary system. So our Vedic astronomers and Vedic scientists, they're working on this, and then in 2 or 3 years time, the temple will be open for public. And then our challenge to the science is that we don't believe in the planetary system which the science proposes, and we can explain every single phenomena through the Vedic Vedic astronomy, right? So here we see that these three planetary systems, so the middle three planetary systems, so they have many planets that are there in these planetary systems. So, and these middle three planetary systems, they were like completely afflicted by poverty, and no ritualistic ceremonies were happening. So the whole like universal economy is being choked up by the activities of the demons, right? So right now we are seeing like corona is affected, and then it is more than the disease, like the economy is taking a hit a lot. So a similar, this is the way the demoniac forces are. So all the time these demoniac forces keep attacking. So they may be in many different forms. So now we see that this whole economy, even in this past time, the universal economy has brought to standstill because of lack of performance of yajnas. And even now, like why the climatic changes, and then things are going, going too worse in this environment and things like that. It's primarily because of this universal economic system is choked up, because people are not performing any yajnas, the activities that are meant to please the Lord. So naturally the water tables have to reduce, naturally the supply of food grains will reduce, naturally all those natural resources will be withdrawn from the system, right? So this is the way the nature functions. In fact, some other time we will like study this pastime of King Vena. So there was a king who was like very atrocious. Like he was not performing any dharmic activities, and he didn't let anybody perform any dharmic activities. And then earth stopped producing, literally not even one single grain was available in the earth. So that's how the all these things are there in our history. And these Puranas are not just stories that are cooked up. These Puranas are nothing but the history of the world, and it has been recorded for us so that we can take note of it, and we will not we can avoid all those problems that that had happened in the past. So now we see that these things, when wrong times, like things, when things go wrong, like even in Vedic times, no, things used to go wrong. It is not that, and even higher personalities like the Devatas, even they have to suffer. It is not that only the human beings, no, they are put into suffering. Sometimes even the higher personalities, including Indra, Chandra, Varuna, all these people also can be put into trouble. So that's what is the thing that is happening now, right? And then yeah, so just before continuing in this pastime, just an introduction to the Devatas and the demons. So these two belong to the same family, in fact. So Kashyapa had two wives. One wife is called Diti, and another wife is called Aditi. And there was an improper at an improper time, the union between Kashyapa and Diti happened. So it was during the Sandhyakal, the union happened. And during Sandhyakal, it is generally not advisable for union. So because of that union, so like demons were born from Diti, and then the whole Vamsha went on to become Daityas, or the descendants of Diti are called Daityas, and they went on to become demons. And then the whole family of Aditi, from there comes the Adityas, or all the Devatas come from Aditi. So these two main classification of initial progeny, who brought that came in. So these two were like in one sense cousin brothers, but then they always keep fighting for the what is that for the supremacy, for their control over the universe, right? So that's how these two. This is actually a family problem, that's going on. So, but then it is a family problem at a higher level, so that affects the whole universe, when they have any problems. So now this demigods, they were bereft of all their strength, and then three worlds were devoid of like any auspiciousness, and then demons were flourishing. And like all the devatas, they actually went and approached the Lord Brahma. So first level of escalation is Lord Brahma. So they are all the Kashyapa is a son of Brahma, and then they go to Brahma to solve these matters. So then Brahma saw that the most powerful, like he's the most powerful personality in this whole universe. He can do anything and everything within this universe. In fact, this whole universe is considered to be the body of Brahma. So Brahma is the soul of this universe, right? So he's very, very powerful personality. And then he was considering the things, and things were like even beyond his control. So it's sometimes somebody may ask, like, how, if Brahma can do anything and everything within this creation, how is it something can be beyond the control of Brahma? So if you can imagine, if you have children at home, and then if they have some problem, so you are the boss at home, so you control the finance, you control, all their supplies and things like that. But still, when they have a problem, or when you have problem with children, you go to somebody else to rectify it, right? So in the same way, Brahma, though he's the most powerful person, so his children and grandchildren, so they are all involved in fight, and then he's not able to handle the thing. So then he meditates upon the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and then he gets some solution, and then he becomes encouraged, and he becomes bright faced, and he speaks to all the devatas, saying that no, I think the good times are coming up. So no, we have a chance. So let us all go to Lord Vishnu, and let us approach to him, and then let us pray to him, and then let's see, some solution can come about. So now in this universe, within the universe, there is a planet called Pole Star or Dhruva Nakshatra, and that is where this milk ocean is there, and that's where Lord Vishnu resides within this universe. So whenever there is a problem in this universe, Lord Brahma with all the devatas, they go and approach Lord Vishnu at this milk ocean, and then he provides solution for this one, because he is the ultimate controller of everything, right? So it is mentioned that Ishvara sarvabhuthanam hridadesharjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhuthani yantra rudani mayaya. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions this thing, that I am seated in every single living entity or every single body, and then I direct the wanderings of everything in this world. So there is nothing that is not known to the Lord, and there is nothing that is beyond the control of him, and everything is happening because of his will. So it is ultimately, if there is a confusion, only we can take shelter of Lord Vishnu, and then he can clarify what's going on and what has to be done in the future, right? So that's how all the Brahma and all the devatas, they go there, and then like Brahma says to all the devatas that for him, like there is like no one to be protected or neglected. No, he is completely neutral and equal to everyone. And then he doesn't need to worship anybody. He is the ultimate of everyone. And then still from time to time, he takes incarnations for the welfare of upkeep of this world, and to keep things keep the dharma on in this world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. So in this way, the Lord takes various incarnations from time to time. So now Brahma says that now the time factor seems to turn towards the mode of goodness. So you people have definitely, you people have a chance. So we will go and approach the Supreme Lord. So this time factor is an important principle. In fact, in the level 2 Gita course, the first session is going to be on the time factor. So this time factor is something like this. The time has to be right for our activities to bear some fruit, right? So it is like a tree. If there is a mango tree, the mango will come only on the summer season. So the time is important. And then just because the summer season has come, is it sure that I will get the mangoes? I should make the endeavor to go and pluck the mangoes. So both the endeavor should be there, and the time also should be relevant to our endeavor. So otherwise it's not going to work, right? So in many instances in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see this particular aspect, how the time influences things. Anyway, we will keep it aside for the level 2 course to take it up. And then here Lord Brahma is saying that, okay, so it is all good that you people have come now. So let's all go to the Sveta Dvipa, or the milk ocean, and then let's pray to the Supreme Lord. And then all the devatas, they assemble in the shore of the Milk Ocean, and then they start offering the prayers to the Lord. So generally they offer Purusha Shukta, and then some nice prayers they offer to the Lord. And being pleased by the prayers of all the devatas, the Lord will address them, right? So that's how it happens. So now we see that they were addressing the Lord, they were offering nice prayers. So they were telling that, oh, you are changeless, you are unlimited, you are all pervading, you are present in everyone's heart and even in the atom. And it is you are very, very inconceivable. It's not possible to understand you completely. And then you are the supreme master and you are the supreme worshipable. So we offer our pranams, we offer our respects to you, my Lord. And then directly and indirectly, you know everything, and you are non-partial, thus taking no, that is why we have come to take your shelter. And then they explain all the devatas, because they are running this world, they can have a bird's eye view of things that are happening in this world. So the devatas are explaining that how this whole world is governed, or it actually runs, especially like in the micro level, in terms of individual level. The body of an individual is compared to a wheel of a mental chariot, right? So imagine a chariot, and there is a nice wheel of the chariot is there, and this body is compared to that wheel, right? So in this, there are 10 senses are there. So 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and 10 senses are there, and 5 life airs are there. So all these 15 consist makes the spokes of this wheel, a wheel of this chariot. And then the 3 modes of nature is the center of the wheel, which is the spokes are there and the center is there. And then the 8 ingredients, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, all the material ingredients, they form the rim of the wheel, right? So rim is there, spokes is there, center is there. And then now material energy, or the Maya, that actually moves the wheel. And then what is the center axis? So we spoke about center, spokes, and the rim. So axis is the Supreme Lord. So everything revolves around him, right? So that's the way, the devatas give a very nice picture of the the world, or even ourselves. So when we are functioning, so this is the way we are functioning actually. So the body is there, and then the body is just like the wheel, and then in the wheel, the rim is the 8 elements, spokes are the senses and the 5 life airs, and the center is the 3 modes of nature, and then the axis is the Supreme Lord. So in this way, the whole picture they are giving. And then they are telling that, oh Lord, you are very far away and not perceivable, yet present everywhere. Though you are very far away, still you are present everywhere, but still it's very, very difficult for us to see you, because we are all put under illusion by your Maya, and we cannot perceive you completely, right? And then so they are saying that we demigods, we devatas, we are predominantly in mode of goodness. Mode of goodness means knowledge and clarity. But then, even then, we are not able to understand you completely. So what to speak of others? It is very, very difficult to understand you. So may you be pleased. And if only you be pleased, and if you reveal yourself to us, that is when we will be able to understand you. Please, we have come to surrender unto you. Please, what is that? Answer our prayers. They are saying in that way. So every small activity, even a small activity that is dedicated to the Supreme Lord, can never go in vain. So they actually offer these prayers. So because they have come to the Lord and they want their prayers to be answered, so they are just putting some this one. And it is truth also that any activity that is done for the pleasure of the Lord and it is dedicated to the Lord, even if it is very small, it cannot go in vain. Definitely, it will bear its fruits. And then the Devatas mention a nice sloka in this regard, which is often quoted in many places to establish the capacity of the Lord. So that is Yatat Haror Mula Nishechanena Tripyanti Yat Skanda Bhujopashaka Pranopaharat Yatayendriyenam Tataiva Sarvarhanamachyuteja. So it says that the whole creation is like a tree, right? So in this tree, if you try to water the leaves and branches and things like that, so the tree will not be nourished. So it has to be, the water has to be offered to the root, and here the root is the Supreme Lord. So if the water is offered to the root, then the trunk, like yata thoror mula niseshanina, if we pour the water on the root, then tripyanti yat skanda. Skanda means the trunk, and then bhuja is the branch, and upashaka is the sub branches. All the branches and sub branches will become nourished just by serving the Supreme Lord. And then they say pranopahara tetayendriyana. So just by supplying the food to the stomach, all the this one, all the various limbs and the senses becomes enlivened. And I know, like, today is Ekadashi, and we have at least I have not taken anything since morning. So we can actually understand this example very nicely. So there is no food that is supplied to the stomach, and then the body is little weak, right? So in this way, like the whole creation can be maintained just by serving the Supreme Lord, just by pleasing the Supreme Lord. So in this way, the devatas are trying to please the Lord by various prayers, and then finally the Lord become pleased by their prayers. He appears. So when he appears, he appears just like thousands of suns rising at the same time. The effulgence that emanates from his body is so immense that all the devatas, they become completely blinded, and they are not able to see anything, even themselves. They are just seeing that white light that is spreading everywhere. And then Brahma and Lord Shiva, they could able to see the crystal clear beauty of the Lord. So it is described in a set of slokas, like how is the bodily features of the Lord. So it's very auspicious and very nice to hear about the description of the Lord and to meditate and to fix that form in the mind. So that's actually a very this is the process of yogic meditation. So to fix the form of the Lord in the mind and then meditate upon him. So this is the description that is given. He was having a blackish body resembling a Marakata gem, and then his eyes were reddish like the depths of the lotus flower, and then he was dressed in the garments which were in the yellow color like a molten gold, and the whole body was very attractively decorated, and his beautiful smiling face was crowned with a helmet bedecked with many valuable jewels, and his eyebrows were attractive, his cheeks were adorned with earrings that were just dangling from his ears, and then he was having a belt in his waist, and then bangles in his arms, necklace in his chest, ankle belts on his legs, and then bedecked with nice flower garlands. And he was wearing Kastuba gem on his this one. So this is a differentiating mark in the spiritual world. Once we get liberated and we go to the spiritual world, we will have a form exactly the four-handed form, exactly like the Lord. But then there is a differentiation between the Lord and the living entity, is that the Kastuba gem, and then Srivatsa symbol. Srivatsa symbol means there is a 3 white hairs that is there on the chest of the Lord, which indicates the residence of goddess of fortune, or Lakshmi ji. And then he carries a Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, and then this wonderful form is seen by all the devatas, and then all the devatas, they fall flat and offer their pranams to the Lord. So, and then there is another set of prayers that they offer, but then I'll skip that. And then now the Lord is visible to them, so he has withdrawn his effulgence, and then all the devatas could able to see the Lord. And the Lord, till now no conversation has happened, but then the Lord knows everything. Lord is seated as Paramatma in every single person's heart. Before even we think, or before even we properly understand, the Lord can understand what is our desire. So that's how close the Lord is to the soul. He's the super soul. He's very close to the soul. So he understands things. And then understanding the purpose for which the devatas have come there, so he replied in a very deep voice resembling the clouds. We can see these days, at least in Bangalore these days, like this, a lot of thunder and rain is happening every evening. So we can see that the rumbling of clouds is like very, it's like a very royal tone. They actually rumble. So in that way, in that kind of a tone, the Lord actually started to speak. So it is mentioned that the Lord is capable of performing anything and everything. So Lord is like all powerful, and like he's capable of performing anything and everything. But then he get things done through his devotees. He get things done, in this case, the Lord is going to put through the demigods and the demons through a trial of this Samudra Manthan, or churning of the milk ocean. And then why is it if nectar has to be produced, if amrita has to be produced to make the devatas stronger, so the Lord is all powerful and he can just give the amrita directly. So, but he will not do it. Even in the battle of Kurukshetra, we see that Lord is all powerful. He could have just put all the demons into crash just by releasing his Sudarshan Chakra, and everything would have all job would have done. But that's not the way he's going to do. So he's going to make people work, and then what is the whole point? The whole point is transformation. So the whole material world is created so that the living entities here can be transformed. So getting some task done is not an important thing, and that is not at all there in the in the agenda of the Lord. So how to get the how to make the devatas stronger, that may be a side agenda. The main agenda, what is there, is that how to transform these devatas. These devatas are also people like us, but then they are little higher personalities. They are taking care of the administration of this prison house. They are also prisoners within this prison house of the material world. So they also need liberation, and the demons also need liberation. So these all things are happening in the Swargaloka and in the Bhuvarloka. It is not happening in the Vaikuntha Loka. In Vaikuntha Loka, there is no fights. No, Vaikuntha means, Kunta means misery, and Vaikuntha means there is no misery. So once a person gets liberated and goes back to Vaikuntha, so then there is no problems of this sort. So this is all happening in the material world, right? So in the material world, people higher than us, they are fighting. The devatas, they are actually fighting, devatas and the demons. So at this point in time, we see that the Lord is giving them some nice advice, and then he is making them work for this whole cause. And the whole purpose is that both the devatas and the demons, they will transform and they will progress in their spiritual path. So that's the whole idea of the Lord, right? So now the Lord is going to give some wonderful advice. He told that, just hear me with great attention. What I'm going to speak is of great, is going to bring about a great good fortune to you. And till you are not powerful, you have to make a truce with the demons. Actually, you have to make a pact with the demons who are now being favored by the time. Now the mode of passion is very prominent. The time is favoring mode of passion, and the demons are flourishing like anything. And you people have been put down because of this effect, right? So now, because you are not very strong, it is not your time to be very strong. So now, if you have to win this whole thing, now you have to make a peace pact with the demons, and then you have to work for a project. So then we can try to I will give you a plan with which you can actually win over them or become stronger than them. So the Lord is taking advantage of the current crisis that the devatas are going through to put them on a task which will purify them and which will actually make them more advanced spiritually, right? So now the Lord is telling that it is very important, just to fulfill one's interest. One has to make truce with even one's enemies, right? So, and the Lord gives an example of snake and a mouse logic. So if a snake and a mouse both are caught up in a basket, the snake should not eat the mouse. Now, if the snake eats the mouse, so then next day the person who has caught the snake, he will come and kill the snake, or he will do anything with the snake. So he should allow the mouse to cut open the basket, and then both snake and mouse should come out, and then the snake should eat the mouse. So this is the logic that Lord gives. So he says that now you are not very powerful. Now it is not very good to attack the demons, and you will not be able to be victorious in this whole thing. So now you have to make a peace pact, and then you have to churn the milk ocean, and you will get nectar. And once you get nectar, you will become powerful. Then you can defeat the demons. So that's the deal that is being worked out by the Lord. And then the Lord is telling the procedures for that. He's telling that bring all the nice vegetables, grasses, creepers, and drugs that are available naturally, and cast into this ocean of milk. And then with my help, make the Mandara mountain the churning rod. And then with Vasuki is a huge snake. Make Vasuki the churning rope, and then churn with undeviated attention. And demons and you both will work hard, but then you will get the nectar. So that's my promise. So that's what the Lord says. And then he gives some advice. He says that with patience and peace, everything can be achieved. If you become very agitated, and if you try to get some results very quickly, then it will not work out. So you have to go to the demons, and you have to tolerate them, work with them, and things like that. And then also during the churning, so many wonderful things will come. So you have to keep your patience and peace. So as I'm directing, you have to follow, and then you will get everything favorable for you. And if you are agitated by anger, then the goal is not achieved. So in between, if you are like provoked by the actions of the demons, and then if you become agitated by anger, so you will spoil the whole game. So you should not be agitated by anger. And therefore, whatever the demons may ask, you agree and get this proposal done, right? So now here you see there is a lot of tolerance and patience, and things like that the Lord is teaching to the devatas, right? And that's why he's putting them through such a difficult task. He's giving a task to work with the demons, and it's quite difficult actually. And the Lord is giving such a task so that these devatas will become like more purified and more mature in their activities, right? And then he says that when you churn this ocean, the poison will come from the ocean, and Lord Shiva will take it. So the Lord is not asking Lord Shiva that, no, is it okay for you to take, and things like that. He's just simply passing a statement saying that, okay, when the poison comes, Lord Shiva will take it. That's it. So, and Lord Shiva's there in the audience there, and then he's just listened to the Lord, and then he's just going to follow what the Lord is saying. And other things that are produced, don't get greedy or anxious to attain them. There will be nice elephants that will be produced, nice horses that will be produced, and different things that will be produced from there. So don't try to take possession of them. So just be focused on the churning, and then you will get the end result. So by subduing your enemies, right? So this is something that is mentioned. So then after that, both the demigods headed by Indra, so they go they go and approach the demons. So at this point in time, the demons are headed by Bali, King Bali. And then like by seeing the devatas coming into their camp or coming into their place, so all the demons, they get ready to fight a battle. But then the King Bali says that no, this is not the time to fight. I don't think these people are coming to fight with us. So let us see, they have come into our home. So there is a Vedic system that is there: Grihe Shatrum Api Praptam Vishwatam Akuto Bayam. That means even if an enemy comes to our home, he should be treated in such a way that he will not have any fear in his heart. So that's the way he should be treated. So then King Bali, at that point in time, like even demons, they were not very atrocious demons. So they were also following so many rules and regulations. They were also following a lot of code of conducts and things like that. So then Indra approached, and he, in a very nice, sweet words, he put forward the proposal of the whole churning of the milk ocean, and a proposal given by the Lord. So then both of them agreed upon. So all the demons also agreed upon, okay, if nectar is going to come, so then definitely we'll work for it. And nectar, Amruta, will make us immortal, right? So, or it will award a long life, basically. So, so the demons and demigods both agreed to that, and they started working on the project. So first thing is to bring the Mandara mountain to the milk ocean, and they uprooted the Mandara mountain, and they were trying to bring it carrying the Mandara mountain, but it was weighing too heavy. And all the leaders of both the demons and the demigods, Indra and Bali and all those people, so they suddenly left the mountain, and then many demigods and the demons got crushed under the mountain, right? And I hope there are some questions are there. So we will take the questions later on. You may put it in the chat box and leave it, and we will take the questions later on, right? So now, yeah. So I was just telling about this. They were trying to bring that Mandara mountain, but then the project was unsuccessful. Then the Lord appears there, on the back of Garuda. He just lifts the mountain, effortlessly, throws it on the back of Garuda, and then he revives all the people who are injured, and then take them all to the shore of the milk ocean, and then effortlessly the mountain is put into the ocean, right? So now the after that, Vasuki is summoned. So when Vasuki is summoned, this huge snake comes there, and then the snake is to be wrapped around the mountain, and then they have to churn the whole thing, right? So now when they wrapped around, so there was a conflict, who will catch the head and who will catch the tail. So first the demigods went and caught the head portion. In fact, the Lord mentioned that, no, you people go and take the head portion. And then the demons, they started arguing, saying like, no, hum todi kami hai, like, no, what way, like we are what is that, we are smaller than these people. We are also like cousin brothers, and we are also belonging to the same family. And why they have to catch the head and we have to catch the tail? Tail is an inferior portion, right? So then the Lord, okay, fine, no, like you people go, and the demigods were completely surrendered to the Lord, and whatever the Lord says, they are just following. In fact, it's the plan of the Lord that when the churning of the ocean happens, the Vasuki will emit fire, from its mouth, and whoever catches the head portion, it becomes a problem, right? So so the difference between the demigods and demons is that both have material desires, both have tendency to enjoy this world, but then the demigods are they would like to follow dharma, and they would like to surrender to the Supreme Lord. But then the demons, they don't like to surrender to the Supreme Lord, so they want to do things on their own way and things like that. So one small incident or one small story can actually enumerate this thing, the difference between the demigods and the demons. So the demigods, like once, there was a conflict between these two parties, and then they wanted to establish who is the superior ones. And then the case was taken to Brahma, and then the Brahma actually gave them this one competition. Okay, so I'll offer you all very nice feast, very nice foodstuffs, and I'll make your elbow straight, right? So your hand will become straight, you will not be able to bend the hand. So now whoever finishes first this whole meal, so they are they are the superior ones. So then the demons, they thought, okay, they took the meal, and then they were trying to put it in the mouth and things like that. They were not able to make it. But then some demons they kind of figured out, okay, so we have to take the meal, and then we have to take it to the right angle in the top, and then throw it into the mouth so it can go into the mouth. And then other demons saw, oh, this guy has found some way out, so how can we allow him to do this? So within no time, there was huge chaos in the whole demons arena. And then the demigods, they just peacefully sat down, they had a meeting, and then they thought, okay, fine, so we will have all the foodstuffs in the middle, and we will sit each other, facing each other, and then one person will feed the other person. So the matter is finished very easily. So that's the difference between the demigods and the demons. Just a tangent I just took to explain this one. So both of them have material tendencies. Both of them are illusioned by Maya. Both of them are there in this prison house of material world. But then one people, they are by nature aligned towards dharmic things, and they are humble, and they want to follow the Lord. And then the other category is that they want to become the supreme. They want to establish themselves as the supreme, and for that they can do anything and everything, right? So that's the demons, right? So now we now these understanding the nature of the demons, the Lord told the demigods to catch the head, and then the demons came and fought, and then they told, no, we will only catch the head. So it was left to them, and then the demigods caught the tail of the Vasuki. And then after they were trying to churn, so then they were seeing that okay, where I was, yeah. So they were seeing that the mountain was sinking, so into the ocean. So then again, everyone looked towards the Vishnu for help, and then Vishnu appeared as this one Kurma, Kurma avatar. So he just came, and then he lifted the mountain, tortoise avatar, and then he lifted the mountain, and he kept the mountain on from sinking. And then he appeared as another form with a 1,000-handed form. As a pivotal force, he appeared on top of the mountain, and then he made the mountain's balance intact. So then the whole churning started, right? So now we see that all the life, all the living entities who were there in the ocean, they were agitated. Both the demigods and demons, they were churning the ocean like anything. They were putting their full might into it. And then Vasuki was emitting smoke, as we were mentioning before. And then both the demons and the demigods are becoming black by the smoke that is coming. So, and they are becoming tired, gradually, and nothing is getting produced. Nothing is happening over there. So it's just like they keep on churning. Only labor is going on, and nothing is getting produced, and only they are becoming tired. So then the Lord arranges for nice clouds and rains and breeze and things like that. So, and still, nothing worthwhile is getting produced from the ocean. Then the Lord Vishnu, he himself personally takes up the task. So he himself takes up the task, and he catches both the sides of the rope, and then he starts churning. And when he starts churning, then the first thing that comes out is the poison. So when the poison comes, it is just spreading everywhere, and it is just like killing every single thing around. And this poison's effect is so like Kalakuta poison. It's very, very powerful poison. So then, as it is mentioned before, that Lord Shiva will take this poison. So Lord Shiva is not like other devatas. Like, no, he's not so much worried about kingdom and this and that. And also he's already renounced, and he's just in his Kailash. He's just peacefully, he's there. So all the devatas, again, they go and offer prayers to Lord Shiva. In between the Samudra Manthan, all this natak is happening. And then Lord Shiva is consulting to Parvati that, you see, like all our children, in this material world, all of them are afflicted with this poison. So I think it is our duty to go and save them. It is our duty to go and take this poison. So when Lord Shiva makes this statement, Sukadeva Goswami, the narrator of Srimad Bhagavatam, he glorifies Lord Shiva very nicely. He says a very nice sloka. He says, Tapyante lokatapena sadhava prayaso jana. So paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilakmanaha. Which means tapyante lokatapena. So the sadhus, sadhavo prayasa jana. So sadhus are generally such people. So they cannot tolerate the pain undergone by the people in general. So seeing the pain of others, they take voluntary pain upon themselves, and then in this way, like, they try to save the people in general. And in fact, it is mentioned this is the topmost way of worshipping the Supreme Lord. And Lord Shiva was geared up for that, and then he went, and then he took all the poison, and he concentrated all the poison in his hand, and then he just consumed all the poison, right? So when this poison entered inside by the blessings of the Lord, so this actually went till the throat, and then Lord Shiva got the name as Nilakanta. Right, so that marks the poison that has come from the milk ocean, right? So then after that, the churning still continues, and then the next thing that comes out of the ocean is the Surabhi cow, and all the sages who are present. Anyways, like the demons, they didn't wanted the cows, and also what they will do with the cows. Maybe they'll slaughter and eat the cow, So they didn't want to take it. So then the sages who are present there, they took it. And then there came about when the churning continued further, there came about a very powerful horse, which is called Uchishrava. And Bali, the head of the demons, he took it. And then after some time of churning, Airavata came, and then Lord Indra took it. And then after some time, the Kaustubha gem came out of the ocean, and Lord Vishnu is the proprietor of Kaustubha gem. We discussed that in the past also. So Lord Vishnu took it. And then after further churning, Lakshmi ji appeared from the ocean. So that is why Lakshmi ji has one name, Jalaja. Jalaja means like that which is, Ja means like that which is born, Jala means water. So one who is born from the water, or here in this one, she's come out of the milk ocean. So that is why she is called as Jalaja. So Lakshmi ji comes out of this one, and every single person wants Lakshmi. Who don't want Lakshmi, right? So the demons want, the demigods want, and everybody wants, and everybody is like going behind her. So in between this whole Samudra Manthan, there is a Swayamvar that happens, and Lakshmi ji is having a garland in her hand, and then just she's going and looking at different people. So she's seeing some people are sages, and they are like endowed with a lot of good qualities, but then they don't have a long life. They don't have physical strength and prowess. but the demons, they have the power, but then they don't have good qualities. Like this, no, she's analyzing different people, and nobody has all good qualities in one place. But then finally she garlands Lord Vishnu, like considering him to be the abode of all the good qualities. And then finally, when the churning continued further, so then a beautiful girl appeared. This is Varuni. Varuni means like the personification of liquor. So the personal form of liquor. So the demons, they were so eager to have it. So then they took that girl. And then finally, like after the last episode of churning that happened, so Dhanvantri came with the pot of nectar. So the Amrita finally has come. So Dhanvantri came with a pot of nectar, and then the demons, like without even asking anything, or without even showing any gratitude to Lord Vishnu, like who has put this whole plan and then orchestrated the whole thing, and finally the nectar came, demons just simply snatched the nectar and ran away from the place. So then after that, when they run away from the place, within short while, in the assembly of the demons, there is huge chaos. Who will take the nectar first? Somebody is telling, no, I snatched the nectar pot, and somebody is telling, no, I am the senior, I should get first, and somebody is saying, no, I am the strongest, I should get first. In this way, like the whole thing is chaotic. Everybody are fighting like anything. So then the demigods, they turn towards Lord Vishnu. Oh my Lord, you told like, no, we will get the nectar, and these guys have taken and went off. So what's going to happen now? So then Lord Vishnu says, okay, don't worry, like, no, I'll take care of things. So then Lord appears as Mohini. So in the Mohini Rupa. So in this pastime, we see the Lord appears in many different forms. The Lord appeared in the beginning and he gave the advice, and then the Lord appeared in the Garuda, on the back of Garuda, and rescued these people from getting crushed from the Mandara mountain. And then the Lord, he balanced, he kept the mountain from sinking by coming as a tortoise, Kurma avatar, and then he came as Ajita, and then he balanced this one. And then finally he started churning the ocean himself, and then he came as Dhanvantri to give the nectar, and then now he is coming as Mohini. So this goes to say that the principle that the Lord wants to establish is that we have to endeavor, but then we always have to be dependent on the Lord. So when we actually come out with complete dependence of the Lord, so then that's the state of liberation. Then we are eligible to go back to the spiritual world. In this whole thing, the Lord is actually putting this one lesson very strong, that we cannot do things on our own. So we have to take help of the Lord, right? So we have to take shelter of the Lord, and we have to take help of the Lord. So now when this Mohini avatar comes, all the demons, they come and they were like so captivated by the beauty of this Mohini. And then they are telling that, oh, beautiful girl, from where have you come? So you have come at the right time. We have all our brothers, and we are all brothers, but then we have fight amongst ourselves. Even the demigods worked hard, but then we cheated them, and now we are having fight amongst ourselves only. So now please settle this issue. So you appear to be very truthful. So like, you settle this issue. We are giving this nectar in your charge. And then Mohini is telling, you see, like, I'm a prostitute. I go to different places. And then how can you put trust on a prostitute like me? And I will cheat you. So then the demons say, no, you are so beautiful, you will never cheat anybody. So you take this nectar and you take charge of this, and then you distribute. And then Mohini says, okay, fine. So if you give charge to me, then you should not ask any question. Whatever way I distribute, you should just simply accept it. And they say, okay, fine. No, whatever you do, we will just simply accept it. So then Mohini makes them all sit in a nice way. And then she tactfully goes to the Devatas, and then she starts serving nectar to the Devatas. And then once in a while, she's just seeing the demons and giving a very nice smile towards them. And then the demons are thinking, okay, no, she's having some plan. No, she will favor us only. No, she's just making some plan. So, and things like that. So now she's serving that side. And then the Rahu, he is one of the demons, and then he suspected that the nectar is going to get over on the demigod's side only. We will not get it. So he disguised himself like a demigod, and he went and sat between Surya and Chandra. And then Surya pointed out, like no, Surya and Chandra both pointed out that no, this Rahu is no, is a demon, and he has come and sit over here. So the nectar was served to him, but then it just entered his head. By then it was revealed that he was a demon. So then Mohini took the Sudarshan Chakra and she cut off the head of the Rahu. So by then, no, the demons got to know, oh, this is another form of Lord Vishnu. Again, we are cheated. So they, no, again, there was a huge fight between the Devatas and the demigods. Devatas and the demons happened over there. But this time, the Devatas are more powerful because of drinking the nectar. So that goes on to another episode of details. So I'll just stop here. We'll take some questions. This is a nice narration of what is that? Samudra Manthan, right? Okay, so there are some questions here. At the same time, so many great opportunities and positive changes coming with COVID-19. We learn and are pushed to learn. Oh, compassion, openness, values. Okay, it's nice. Okay, Devagunam and Asuragunam. So I mentioned a little bit about this, the demigods and the Asuras, like how, what is the nature. Now they, both of them are caught up in this material world, but then the Devas are generally they're obedient to the Dharma, and then the Asuras are, they are like deviants. No, they don't agree upon the this one. Obedience. No, they want to do things on their own. Sometimes we see even asuras going and praying to the Lord and then getting some benedictions and things like that. So here we see devatas, when they go to the Lord, they say, we submit to you, my Lord, and then no, we will do exactly what you say, and then no, please help us, and we want to progress in the right path. But then asuras, they say that when they go to the Lord, see, we have done tapasya and we want certain things. No, you just give what we want and get lost. No, we will manage the rest of the things. So that's how the demons work. So they don't want the help of the Lord all the time. So they just want, they have made up their mind what is best for them, and they just simply want that. So but then the demigods, when they approach the Lord, so they say that, okay, fine, no, we don't know what is best for us, like please advise us. No, that's the way they go to the Lord. Ekadashi starts in the morning. Before that, can we drink water for Nirjala Ekadashi, say 4 a.m.? Yeah, we can. So, and then body is compared to the wheel of a chariot. Beautiful comparison from where we can get the whole description. This is there in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in this this whole section where the demigods are offering prayers to the Lord. So in their prayers, this thing comes. And then names of the 3 worlds. 3 worlds are Bhu, Bhuvar, and Swarga. So Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, and Swargaloka. Bhuloka is where we are residing, and Bhuvarloka is the residence of demons, and then Swargaloka is the residence of Devatas. So that's how these 3 these are the 3 middle planetary system. So there are upper planetary systems. They are there. So they are called like Satyaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, and things like that. And then lower planetary systems are Atal, Vital, Talatal, Sutal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal, like that. And then I am on Ekadashi fasting past 1.5 years, but I usually eat fruits during day and eat food grains in night. Oh, if you eat food grains, then the fast is broken. So the fast has to be broken next day after sunrise, within the window period that we had mentioned in the group, right? Any other things to avoid? Just that we should not take grains for one full, from the sunrise to sunrise. So, and we should try to maximize our spiritual things by practice of more chanting and reading of scriptures and things like that. And then certain stars are regarded as Devagunam and some are Asuragunams. Yeah. So like that gets into the astrology. I don't know much of astrology, but then there are some favorable stars and unfavorable stars that are there. In the end canto, which are the verses for these pastimes? So this is from 8th canto. I would say like 5th chapter, like 8th canto, 5th chapter. You'll find from there onwards, like no sixth chapter and things like that, it continues. And then can you please explain how to break the fast? So in the window, like from the sunrise, there is a period that is mentioned. I had mentioned in the group. So within that period, you just take a grain and the fast is broken. That's finished. And Lakshmi Devi is present in Lord's heart. And why is Lakshmi Devi coming during churning? Oh yeah, like they can appear in many different places. Even for that matter, Kastuba gem also was there with the Lord. So, but then when he comes to this world, so like things may manifest from here also. Like for example, in the case of Lord Krishna, the Sudarshan Chakra was presented by Agni, but then the Sudarshan Chakra is all the time it's a eternal weapon of Lord. So when Lord comes to this world, these kind of pastimes may happen. So his eternal paraphernalias may be brought about in these different ways, and it is offered to him. So it is whatever the Lord does, he does it in a very artistic way. That's the whole thing of it. And then I'm fasting without water. So tomorrow during the time window, so if you take water, that itself is considered to be breaking the fast. And if you're fasting without even water, so then the fast breaking should be very careful. It's an art actually. Slowly you should take water and then allow it to sink for some time, and then slowly you should increase your diet. Ekdam se, like if you put all, if you start taking the full meal, then definitely your health will go for a toss. So fasting is very good, but then the breaking the fast is an art. So if we don't know how to break the fast, then we'll break ourselves, right? So we should do it very carefully. Okay. Can we get the recording of this class? Sure. And I was late for the session. Yeah, I will upload it in the YouTube. And then when does the level 2 Gita course start? So I'm thinking that we can start it by somewhere around Thursday and Friday. So by then we can start. So we are just still yet to work out the thing. So specifically, I didn't start because now today we see that we have this festival, and then another festival is coming up day after tomorrow. So we just want to have some space for these things. And then today, if you see, like we have fasted the whole day, and then like almost till now, all the ashram mates, like we have chanted close to 80 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra, and then we are planning to chant more than 100. So like we have our personal commitments was there, so I didn't want to start the course right away at this point in time. So it will be difficult for us to handle all these things. So and then also other commitments were there. So we will start, most probably we will start by Thursday, right? So thank you all very much for participating. Let's wind up here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.